The 2026 Formula One season moves from Melbourne to Shanghai, and round 2 is already a big one. It is the first sprint weekend of this new era. Here is everything you need to know about Friday in China: the schedule, the weather, the track, and what it all means for the new 2026 cars.
We arrive in Shanghai with one clear reference point. In Australia, George Russell and Andrea Kimi Antonelli delivered a dominant 1-2 for Mercedes, with Charles Leclerc and Lewis Hamilton leading the chase for Ferrari. That first race gave the teams real-world data on the new chassis and the new power units. But these 2026 regulations are still very fresh, and now they have to be understood on a completely different circuit with a much more compressed weekend.
This is a sprint weekend, so there is only one practice session before qualifying for the sprint. All the times I'm about to give you are first in local time in Shanghai and then converted for the United Kingdom, the United States East Coast, and Brazil. Remember, Shanghai is 8 hours ahead of Greenwich Mean Time.
Friday, Practice 1. Local time in Shanghai. Friday, 13 March, 11:30 in the morning. That means, in the United Kingdom, London time, Friday, 13 March, 3:30 in the morning. On the United States East Coast, Thursday night into Friday, 12:30 in the morning. In Brazil, São Paulo time, Friday, 13 March, midnight and 30 minutes, just after midnight. This is the only practice session of the entire weekend. Teams will have 1 hour to check setups, long run balance, and the very delicate energy deployment strategies that define these 2026 cars. Any problem here is a huge blow, because there is no second chance before competitive running begins. Sprint qualifying on Friday. Later on Friday, we go straight into qualifying for the sprint race. Local time in Shanghai, Friday, 13 March, 3:30 in the afternoon. Converted, that becomes United Kingdom, London time, Friday, 13 March, 7:30 in the morning. United States East Coast, Friday, 13 March, 3:30 in the morning. Brazil, Friday, 13 March, 4:30 in the morning. So, if you are watching in Britain, this is a breakfast qualifying session. If you are in the Americas, it is very much an overnight or early hours watch. Sprint qualifying will set the grid for Saturday's sprint race, and that sprint is worth serious points under the current format. So expect teams to sacrifice some long-run preparation to make sure they qualify well.
Broadcast rights still depend on where you live. In the United Kingdom, Sky Sports remains the exclusive live broadcaster for every Formula One session in 2026. You can watch via the Sky Sports F1 channel, stream through Sky Go, or use Now streaming passes. Race highlights will also be available free-to-air on Channel 4. In the United States, Apple TV is now the primary broadcast partner under the new multi-year deal. Every session, including practice, sprint qualifying, and the sprint race, is available on the Apple platform. F1 TV remains the global subscription service in regions where it is offered. And of course, there will be live text coverage and timing commentary across specialist motorsport websites throughout the weekend.
Shanghai's weather can influence strategy, especially with the new energy-sensitive cars. For Friday, both free practice and sprint qualifying are expected to take place in mostly sunny conditions. The forecast high is around 14 degrees Celsius. There is essentially no chance of rain during the day. For Saturday, when we have the sprint race and the main Grand Prix qualifying, the temperatures are expected to rise towards 19 degrees Celsius.
Again, the forecast is for clear skies and a 0% chance of precipitation. Sunday is more complicated. Early forecasts point to cloudier, cooler conditions, with up to a 25% chance of rain for the main Chinese Grand Prix. That could be important for tyre warm-up and for how the 2026 power units manage energy in cooler air.
The venue itself is one of the most distinctive on the Formula One calendar. Name: Shanghai International Circuit. Location: Shanghai, China. Length: 5.451 kilometers, or 3.387 miles. First appeared in Formula One in 2004. It was designed by Hermann Tilke, and there are two features you really need to know. First, the opening sector. Turn 1 and Turn 2 form a long, tightening right-hand spiral. The corner keeps going, closing in on itself and getting slower and slower until a very late apex. In the 2026 cars, this section will be a huge test of front-end grip, how well drivers can manage front tire temperatures, and how precisely the hybrid systems can harvest and deploy energy while the car is loaded up for so long. Second, the back straight. Shanghai features one of the longest straights in Formula One, leading into a heavy braking zone towards the end of the lap. This is where pure power unit efficiency, drag levels, and energy deployment strategy will really show. If Mercedes' advantage in harvesting and deployment was real in Melbourne, it will be very obvious here. At the same time, teams like Red Bull, Ford, Audi, and even Cadillac will get a clearer sign of where they stand against the Mercedes benchmark.
To sum it up, there is only 1 hour of practice to sort a completely different track with these complex 2026 cars. Sprint qualifying already carries real consequences because a good sprint result is now a meaningful chunk of championship points. Conditions on Friday and Saturday look stable, so teams will have no excuses if they do not get on top of setup and energy management. The big questions going into Friday and Shanghai are: can Mercedes confirm its early dominance on a track with a massive straight? Can Ferrari close the gap enough to actually fight for a win? And where will Red Bull, McLaren, and Audi slot in this time, when there is nowhere to hide in a sprint weekend? By the end of Friday, we will have a much clearer idea of whether Australia was the start of a pattern or just the first chapter of a much closer 2026 season.